News dump. Hot out the kitchen. We have gotten our first full length trailer for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
I'm not gonna lie, Goo. I was a little underwhelmed by this trailer. I was a little underwhelmed. There's just something missing to it, and I'll be honest with you too. Keaton didn't look great in a couple of the scenes we saw. He didn't look as Beetlejuice as he could look.
Simmons is old, but are you complaining that the father isn't back? Is that what you're doing?
No, no, I
That's what
I
it
don't
sounds like to me.
I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know. I'm feeling uninspired over this movie at the moment.
Keaton is back.
Mhm.
Ryder is back.
Mhm.
O'Hara is back.
Mhm.
Sandworms are back.
Danny
Then you
DeVito,
add
Willem
Defoe
Dafoe.
and Ortega? Come on now.
I will say, love Winona Ryder, and Jenna Ortega is like perfect
Yes.
casting for Lydia Dietz's daughter. Past that, I don't know how much I'm gonna love this movie.
Also, what I really like about Lydia Dietz is that it seems like from the get-go, she is the same weird character. Like it
Yeah.
isn't one of these, well, she grew up and become something different, and then in the middle of the movie, she says, I have to go back to how I used to be. She just stays that. Her hair tells us that.
My major positive from this trailer, Goo, is
Go
that it
on.
looks like they're gonna be dealing with mostly afterlife stuff here, so
Mhm.
we won't be a lot of real world stuff. And I wonder, Goo, if because it seems like they're gonna go in there to search for Poppy, their Jenna Ortega's father, and I wonder if there's a recast or if there's any sort of if they find him. I wonder if there's anything surrounding that by the end of this movie.
It does seem like we're going to get more juice. The juice is loose, definitely for more than 17 and a half minutes like we had
Full
in the first
juice.
movie. We also don't have those bridgy characters like we had with the ghosts that were in the house that kind of led us to the afterlife. The
Sure.
main characters already know about the afterlife.
Right, right. No, that's I'm trying to think back though. So Catherine O'Hara's character, whose name I always forget in this movie, she never went into the afterlife in the first movie, right?
No, but she witnessed it when Beetlejuice brought it out.
Right, right. So that'll be some I'm not listen, I love Schitt's Creek
Mhm.
and most not I'm not gonna say most. A lot of the compliments about Schitt's Creek is over Catherine O'Hara's character. She's my least favorite character in that show, so I'm
Danielle.
not her biggest fan.
Daniel. I like the overall good, campy, practical effect fun of this,
Mhm.
where it still seems like they're leaning into that goofy nature.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, if you're gonna double down on Beetlejuice, both in runtime of the character or screen time of the character and the actual title itself, you might as well lean into the camp.
Two more things. Number one, I will continue with 2024. Goo is easily impressed.
You have been you know what it is now though? It's not even easily impressed. You have changed your parameters, so I guess it does make it easier. You have like really good movies I like, really bad movies that I think are funny, and then you have a really small in between where you're like,
I am now here to make a proclamation.
okay.
This Beetlejuice Beetlejuice
Mhm.
will be our generation's Top Gun Maverick.
No, couldn't be further from the truth.
A movie from the 80s. We have a legacy sequel 37 years later, 38
And
years later.
also, Beetlejuice is more the Top Gun generation than it is our generation. We were born the year this movie came out. Or maybe no, we were born the year after, right? Beetlejuice was 88?
I've already made a proclamation. I'm standing by it. My line in the sand is there. I'm
All
here
right.
because you are afraid to say things now.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. That's my
Yeah,
spiel.
I'm not. I'll say whatever I want.
I'll do whatever.
News dump. Speaking of me getting what I want, we are getting a live action Spider Man Noir starring Nicholas fucking Cage.
You held that well. I would have thrown up halfway through that. Uh, I when you broke this news to me the other day, I was
Yeah.
stunned. I thought 2, 3 years ago when they were announced that something might be something in this direction, I thought we might get an animated movie spinoff or an animated show.
In the
Now we're
style
getting
of his character from
yeah,
the movie.
right, which makes a
Yes.
lot of sense. Now we're getting a live action version of Spider-Man Noir. I don't know if it's better or worse, but I'm definitely more intrigued now.
So this will tell the story of an aging down and out private investigator, Cage, in the 1930s in New York, who used to be a Spider-Man. So I feel like what they're going to do is like they'll show some stuff of a younger Spider-Man, a younger superhero, and then they'll have him in the outfit, but then once he puts that mask on, that ain't Cage.
So 2 things.
Yes.
Who are you casting as young Cage?
I would just cast Cage.
Second, I wonder how many other soups are sort of around in the 1930s, what they will do with that.
Ooh, that would be just before Captain America.
Hmm.
Is there a Black Panther at this point?
I don't know, but I mean, it's gonna be probably New York centric, maybe like a Jack the Ripper or some shit like that.
Oh, like real life heroes?
Maybe something like that.
Like,
Yeah, I
what if
don't know
he
what they're
meets
gonna
the
do.
Wright brothers? Is that too late for the Wright
Gonna travel
brothers?
down to the Carolinas.
Who were who were the American heroes of the 1930s?
No one. There's a massive war, I guess.
Yeah. He's like talking shit about FDR. He's like, I've never even seen him stand up, and then he finds out later about his horrible illness.
Yeah. This listen, I think by going live action, you open it up for it to be much worse.
Mhm.
Like animated, it Adam automatically was gonna be good.
Like a higher floor.
Yeah. Now I'm like, all right, I'm very intrigued by it. I just don't know what the fuck we're gonna do.
I believe that Lord and Miller will be the EPs on this. They're not
Okay.
gonna be directing or serving as showrunners or nothing.
Yeah, well, the 2 guys that got, one from The Punisher, one from 22 Jump Street as the showrunners, they're in good hands,
Yeah.
obviously. I'm so fucking confused. I don't know what
Speaking
to expect.
of Spider-Man news dump. When asked about possibly off the back of X-Men 97 getting a Spider-Man 98 continuation of the 1990 Spider-Man animated show, Marvel's head of animations, he said, I don't want to close the door on anything, but I think that for now, for the foreseeable future, X-Men 97 will own the 90s.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, and I think most of us forgot that they're already doing an animated Spider-Man show,
Yeah.
loosely touching the MCU or kinda based on the MCU Spider-Man. Um, so I don't know if there's room for 2 Spider-Man shows, at least concurrently. I actually rewatched season 1 of the Spider-Man 90s show the other day.
How is it?
It's okay. It's not as good as X-Men.
Mhm.
Some of it is because you just have the one character. You just have Peter Parker Spider-Man, whereas X-Men, you can tell a million stories with all your characters. So I'm not really yearning for Spider-Man 98, but if we got it, I'd begrudgingly accept it.
And I also think one of the issues, it's not a huge issue because I love their storytelling in the first season of X-Men 97, but because they have a really tight 10 episode schedule, you really can't incorporate Spider-Man unless you do like an Avengers versus Spider-Man, Avengers versus X-Men storyline. You really can't incorporate Spider-Man into the X-Men storyline.
Yeah, no, that's true. And if anyone's looking to go back and watch the X-Men in the Spider-Man storyline, it's in season 2 that they first get introduced into that world or that story. So I'll probably maybe watch those next week.
Speaking of X-Men, news dump. Hot off the back of X-Men 97, the MCU, it looks like they will be moving forward with their live action X-Men movies. Michael Leslie, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is in talks to write the script.
Yeah, that movie wasn't very good, but it wasn't bad. I think it's an odd choice for that person to be
You know
writing
who
a
they
script.
should
Oh,
get?
Bo DeMeo.
I was going to say, unless he's a horrible person, Bo
Yeah,
DeMeo.
yeah. And we'll take that back if he is.
But there's
Uh,
more than enough time, like, for us to figure out if he is a real bad
right,
guy, because
right.
if he writes the scripts and he turns out to be a bad guy, maybe you just take his script and you change some words.
I think we're fully expecting to steal a television term here, that the X-Men, there's going to be a backdoor pilot in one of these movies or shows coming up for the X-Men if we haven't
Well, that's
gotten
what
it
I was
already.
assuming maybe with, like, Spider-Man 98 is that they try and sneak him into one of these episodes, actually have him in the storyline. Don't just have him pop up as, like, a cameo a couple times, and then
Yeah.
maybe you try and do that, but it doesn't look like they wanna do that right now.
Yeah, it's like because at least in our memory in the '90s, mostly probably because the
In the
animated shows, the
90s.
closely related properties to X-Men were Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. We're gonna have Fantastic Four next year. We already have Spider-Man, so I feel like the X-Men are gonna be slowly introduced maybe into the MCU, and then we'll get like a Xavier movie or
Yeah, no,
something.
no, we need them to start to put some X-Men in these movies, because if they are just now in talks of writing the script, that's like, what, 5 years away?
Yeah, and they're gonna have a lot of splaining to do as to where they've been on top of it.
But
So
they're also gonna have to release 15 movies in the meantime?
I mean, well, we have to. So maybe there's a movie that's going to pop up in the timeline that they haven't told us about yet. But we have to imagine when we get to the next two Avengers movies, the X-Men are going to be involved.
I certainly hope that when they sit down to write this script, they just don't go, Dark Phoenix? Have we
You
done
son
this
of a
yet?
bitch, I'm in.
News dump. Mac, you like Star Wars?
I do and I don't. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I
I
go
think you
back and
might
forth with it.
like this.
Mm.
Daisy Ridley, I don't know where she was talking. She was speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, it seems like. She wants John Boyega to return as Finn in her Star Wars movies, saying it feels like we should, comma, yeah.
I think the biggest injustice of that original or of this most recent trilogy was not focusing more on Finn and Finn's story, who, other than Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, was the most fascinating character. A
Well, I would say
stormtrooper,
that Finn's story is more interesting because that's something that hadn't
possibly.
been explored before.
It
The
is. It's
Kylo Ren
new for
one
sure.
was just the flipping of the Anakin story, kinda,
Yep.
whereas this one's like, oh, what if the stormtroopers were actual people?
Right. And then a stormtrooper who was raised in this, evil empire for,
Yeah.
or whatever the hell they call it in First Order, flips to become almost a Jedi, just below Jedi adjacent, or is working to become a Jedi Force user. Like that's pretty fascinating. So, like, there's a lot of stuff in that story or in that path you can go down, and they just never really did. He always just ended up being the B or C character in their stories from that trilogy. So, I think there's plenty of room for John Boyega's Finn. I just don't know how you're gonna fit it into so, like, the Rey's movie will be set, presumably after that trilogy, so maybe it'll be her training Finn, like, you could do that,
No, well, it doesn't seem
I'm a
like
little
Finn is
intrigued by it.
involved. This is her taking on the name Skywalker, being like, "That's my name now." And then, I don't know, I don't know what she's doing because
Yeah,
she
no
doesn't
one
need
knows.
to teach other Jedi how to do anything. She can do all of it herself.
No, but if you're talking about the Star Wars world and universe going forward after that last trilogy, she obviously is the most powerful
Yeah.
character left, so
I would love it now if moving forward in all of the future Star Wars movies, if whenever they're like, "Oh no, there's a new bad guy," and then Rey's like, "Is it Palpatine again? There's a chance it's Palpatine again. We thought it wasn't Palpatine, but then it was Palpatine again. Do we just think it might be Palpatine again?" And they do that like 3 or 4 times every movie.
right, yeah, there's always a new version.
New dump. New dump. News dump. Hot off the back of X-Men 97, let's get to this topic right here. A24 has acquired the rights, not taking our advice, but they have grabbed The Death of Robin Hood, that is set to star Hugh Jackman as the titular Robin Hood, and Jodie Comer.
So this is like Logan, except Robin Hood, starring Hugh Jackman?
It's Logan, but with bows and arrows and thievery.
Ah, man, they haven't done Robin Hood correctly the last couple times out. Um, I don't know if Hugh Jackman's the way to go for Robin Hood. I don't picture him as a Robin Hood type, and he's also older now.
Well, it
But
says here that's an older Robin Hood, so that
yeah, well,
matches.
the death of Robin Hood, that makes sense. I'm
His
intrigued by this.
past
I'm intrigued
life
by
of
anything
murder
A24
and
does.
crime.
I like Hugh Jackman, so I'm definitely intrigued by this.
News dump. Somehow, some way, We have 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movies in development.
I prefer Caribbean versus Caribbean.
I would have gone Caribbean if we're gonna go.
I
Should
think
we split the
Caribbean.
bathwater and go with Caribbean?
I think Caribbean.
I don't like Caribbean. What did I say at first?
Caribbean.
I didn't say that.
Goo, this is the most confusing news of the week. Jerry Bruckheimer, obviously the producer in all of these movies, confirms they are working on both a reboot of the series as well as a spinoff. Now, Goo, I'm not so sure Jerry Bruckheimer knows what a reboot is, and or he doesn't know what a spinoff is, because by the way, this spinoff is the Margot Robbie one they've announced like a year and a half ago. So that's still in development, but they also want to reboot the series, which means starting over. Therefore, there wouldn't be a spinoff. But on top of the reboot, he wants to get Johnny Depp back. So it's not a reboot, or it's a soft reboot. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing.
All right, Jerry, you're here to pitch us a movie, and don't pitch us another effing Pirates of the Caribbean movie. All right, boys, you ready for this? 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Oh, so like they have the same story and they connect? No.
No,
They're operating in
no.
different worlds.
We're doing 2 different worlds. We let the audience decide.
And riddle me this: one has a chick.
I don't think either of these are going to do well. And also, Jessie Jane just died. Let's give her some time.
Justice for Jessie Jane, no doubt.
You know what? That movie was released in Japan. They just took the sex scenes out, and it was just a regular movie.
Someone must have
We're
been
talking
confused.
about pirates, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Pirates.
Yeah, someone must have been real confused there, because why would you even just release the non-sex stuff? I don't get that.
There was a full storyline in it. It's
No,
a well-produced movie.
It's like over
They
2
put
hours.
a lot of money into it. Have I seen the full thing? Yes. News dump. Steve Carell has his next series.
So we're in a weird spot here where Steve Carell's Michael Scott is arguably the greatest TV character of all time, at least comedically. I think you could argue that. Since then, been a lot of misses comedically for Steve Carell live action. However, turns out he's a great dramatic actor. We've seen that time and time over the last decade. That fucking Netflix Space Force series was horrible. Somehow they got 2 seasons out of it. He is set to star in a new HBO comedy series from Bill Lawrence. That's the showrunner on Ted Lasso and a couple other shows. I think he's got a good resume, that fella. And the series is going to follow an author's complicated relationship with his daughter whilst on a college campus. I'm going to give Steve Carell one last chance here for like a comedy series, but it seems like he's not it anymore in that role.
News dump. Dune Part 2 is currently on Max.
Do you plan on rewatching anytime soon?
I don't know. I might grab the last 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other day when I was thinking about this, I was glad I didn't give it 40, because I felt like a 40 dogger. I would wanted to rewatch instantly. So I had it at 39. That makes me feel better about giving it a 39.
The issue is that I could watch 3 episodes of another television show in that time. Or I could watch 15 YouTube videos. News dump. We did get a trailer for Dune Prophecy that is coming out later this year, set 1,000 years prior to the Dune movies.
Yeah, this follows the Bene Gesserit, those witch ladies, and how they kind of set up everything going forward. I had no idea this is coming, so this is kind of a nice little surprise, a little aside to the Dune universe.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you feel like this is homework?
No, I feel like it's going to fill in some gaps and maybe do some splaining for folks that are fucking confused from the first 2 movies.
Do you think this is where they originate the voice?
Yeah, 100%. I think we're going to learn about all that shit. Yeah.
If that's all this show is for, is to teach us the voice.
Don't do the voice.
News dump. Jurassic Park has landed its lead, or Jurassic World, whatever the 7th Jurassic movie is going to be.
Yeah.
And
Jurassic
it is
Universe.
Rupert Friend.
Rupert Friend. I don't know if you ever watched Homeland, Goo. First 2 seasons of Homeland were incredible. Rupert Friend comes into Homeland, I believe, in season 2. maybe season 3. He's great in that. He's been really good in other stuff. I don't really care. This is one of those things that like you get too tied up in the human characters in a world with massive dinosaurs. I don't really care who gets cast
I
in
know, but
Jurassic
I'm
World.
really excited for the director, and it's Gareth Edwards.
Very true. Very true. Like if Gareth Edwards' baseline or floor is the creator, which was really good for like 80% of it, that's a pretty good mark going forward for his
I mean, he
filmmaking.
also did Godzilla 2014, and it might not have had enough of the creatures, but he did a decent job with the human story in that compared to the other Godzilla movies.
Well, I think if you just look at it like throw out his top and his bottom, so throw out Godzilla and let's throw out Rogue One. If
Mhm.
you're like middle movie, your median movie is the creator, I think you're pretty good going forward.
Also, this movie is going to be penned by the OGJP screenwriter, David Kep.
I mean, sure.
Was that a big pile of shit? That's one of
I
his lines
just
from the movie, right?
I don't like how many of these movies are we gonna make?
Until they stop making money. Even the last bad one made money.
I Jurassic World I really, really enjoyed, and then it just slowly petered off.
Yeah, I did not like those last two movies. News dump. Mac, what is StreamSaver?
So this is interesting. Comcast, I don't know if they are a parent company to these or if they're acquiring these or have a deal with these networks.
Mhm.
They're launching something called StreamSaver, a streaming bundle that will feature Peacock, Netflix, and Apple TV Plus for only $15 a month. Now, a little peek behind the curtain. Netflix itself is like $15 a month right now, 15.49 or
Well, I
something like
think
that.
we know what's going to happen here is it'll be ad supported.
Yeah, which is fine with me. Um, People are joking about like they're basically just building cable now, which is true.
They are
But
building cable.
$15 is a good price though,
No, it
because
is a
I
good price. I brought this up to our old producer at WBZ, who no longer does the show on Sunday nights. But when I told him about this, he's like, "It's probably fucking ad supported." He got pissed.
again I don't mind the ads. I'm
So
okay with
I don't
ads.
mind if shows are ad supported if they were shot for like network television and they had those breaks planned.
Sure.
But when it's something that, like, you know how you don't listen to podcasts, but some podcasts don't plan for breaks, or also they don't put their own breaks in. So
Yeah.
out of nowhere, mid sentence, you will just have a break.
Yeah.
I feel like some movies on these streaming platforms that have the ad supported, it just does that.
Well, don't do it with movies. I'm fine with television
No,
shows.
movies
Don't do
are
it with
they'll
movies.
also be ad supported.
Don't do it with movies.
News dump. Garfiosa is hitting the
Uh,
screen this weekend. Barbenheimer was so 2023.
I'm glad you're wearing orange to celebrate
I am.
Garfield's release.
He's my favorite tabby.
You've seen half that movie.
I have.
I have not. I don't plan on seeing Furiosa till it's on streaming, nor Garfield either. But
Just
I
don't
think
watch
there's gonna be
Garfield.
I
Garfield is trash.
I think there's gonna be a lot of people going to the theater this weekend.
I am so not to brag, but Mac and I are able to go to screenings on occasion. And I, on Monday, went to the screening of Furiosa,
Right.
drove into our usual theater. I had an hour. I'm like, oh my God, I have so much time to myself. I went, got a burrito. I enjoyed it. You know, I scrolled through my Twitter account, had some fun on social media. And then I walked over to the theater and I said, "Oh, I'm here for the Furiosa screening." And they said, "You are at the wrong theater." I then checked my email, and it turns out that the theater that I was supposed to go to was the one that was right next to my work that would have
Yep.
taken me 2 minutes to drive to. And I was too late to go to it. And I am
And
very
instead,
upset because I won't be able to see the movie this weekend. And I really want to see it.
yeah, and instead you drove 40 minutes across the city to get to the other theater.
I sat in traffic. Yeah, but to be fair, though, I got a quiet dinner to myself. Was it really that bad?
And you can't really put a value on that.
No, no.
Um, what do you plan on doing a Furiosa episode?
Um, I'm not going to see it for a week, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have interesting because then we got a lot of TV coming up in
Well,
June too.
we need to do a bit of a smorgasbord of not only if I see Furiosa, we need to have like a bunch of other trickle down movies that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, I'm up to like 18 or 19 on the year, so I've got quite a few to talk about.
Also, not to brag, but I also tease movies on the radio, and I was really excited to write the headline for the news anchor to read of
Mhm.
Barbenheimer was so 2023. Are you guys ready for pause for dramatic effect? Garfiosa.
Garfiosa does roll off the tongue pretty well, but
It's also fun that if you check the hashtag on X, there's only like 5 people saying it. So it's it's just us and 5 other people.
I
No
don't
one
know
else
if
is
people
saying
are aware this
Garfiosa.
Garfield movie's even coming out.
This Garfield movie stinks.
Hey, you've only seen half. You don't know what's gonna happen in
I
the
only
second
saw
half.
the first hour, but I'm like, I don't know who this is for. There's weird references to like the old Garfield cartoons that like, why would kids care about this? And then like, there's not enough slapstick fun for like like younger kids to enjoy.
Is Chris Pratt doing a voice or is he doing Chris Pratt?
He's doing a little bit of a voice,
Okay, well, that's good. I like that.
but like no more than what he does with Mario.
Oh, well, I was gonna say there's gonna be kids being like, "Wait, why do Mario and Garfield sound the same?"
So you just kind of chunked out there for a second. Did you just ask me why Garfield and Mario kissed?
Yeah, that is what I asked.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you next week, guys.
Yeah.
News dump.